You couldn't ignore me if you tried.
And I'd like to dedicate it to a young man who doesn't think he's seen anything good today.
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool?
Bills are good. Bills are good. I am Spartacus.
All right, welcome to BioPic. This is the show on the Dillberry Network where I talk to my favorite people about our favorite movies. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I'm excited. Jacob is here. He's our guest. Jacob, you're one of my favorite people.
Thank you.
We have a relationship through movies a lot. And today we're going to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. We're going to talk about why we love movies, 5 reasons. And yeah, dude, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We tried this once before.
Yeah.
And
The file was corrupted.
take 2, we've come above the pipes,
Yeah.
as we'll say.
But this is take 1 for everyone at home. So
That's true. Take 1. And it kind of feels like take 1 for me too. Like it feels, I don't really remember it.
No.
You know, a lot of these you record it, put it out there. But
Yeah.
you've always been into movies. You're a filmmaker yourself.
Yes.
You're a DP,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Talk about what is a DP?
Director of photography. So
Nice.
They're in charge of directing the photography of the film.
Yeah.
So it's a very collaborative. I look at it as like a mid-management role. So it's like it sounds glamorous, but you're kind of like stuck in between. But in reality, you're working with the director and assisting them on creating his or her vision and bringing that to life visually.
Yeah.
So pitching ideas for like the visual language, executing different thematic things, and then also working a lot with production designer and the overall look of the world and how the lens and the audience sees it.
Nice. So like a Roger Deakins is one of the most famous directors of photography.
Yes.
You know, worked with Spielberg, worked with Denis Villeneuve recently, but like in simple, it's like it's the guy who sets up the camera,
Yeah.
right? In simple. But
Yeah, camera lighting.
camera lighting, yeah. So is that whole how much is under the umbrella of a DP exactly? Because yeah, like I don't think a person would think like, oh yeah, like a camera guy is also on lighting, or like is that completely separate? Like lighting, camera, like
Yeah, it all like
operator, like does a DP press the record?
depends on what level you're working on. But like on let's just say on the in the traditional sense, no. Usually the focus puller hits the record button.
Nice.
And it's funny. Usually, a lot of times the directors don't even call action.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
It's the DP.
it's the
Or no, it's
no,
the AD.
it's the assistant director.
Oh wow.
So they're kind of steering the ship and getting everything going and making sure they're like the mom on set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And director, they like a director mostly. I guess it just depends.
Yeah,
but they want
really
to focus on the
depends.
actors.
Yes.
Right. On the day of shooting.
Yeah. A lot of times, I mean, everyone's different. There's
Yeah.
a spectrum, but yeah, their director's main goal is to work with actors and kind of get the performance out of them. And then also it's relying on the DP of like, hey, this is the world I want the actors, production designer, this is the world I want the actors to, just collaborate there. And then director of photography is like, this is the kind of movement or the feel that I want here. And there's like pitching and collaboration there. So hopefully when that's all working well, the director can focus with actors and try different stuff and kind of it all works together to get what they want.
Nice. How did you like? I don't think I know the answer to this, but like, how did you end up landing on like, oh, I want to be a DP? Because you were like a like Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, where you were a kid and you would create little movies like from even a young age.
Yeah.
To which kind of feels like you're directing as a kid. You do it all, right?
Yeah.
You set up the little props, or you get your friends in
Wardrobe,
costumes, or all that stuff. How did you end up on being on the technical? I want to be the DP kind of guy.
I realized, I mean, maybe this is overshoot, but like I realized I'm not very good at coming up with like, this is the idea. But when my buddy Oscar would say like, hey, I want to do this, it's like, oh, that's awesome, we could do this as well. And it kind of like I felt like I was better at that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started about I would say it really picked up in like 7th, 8th grade, junior high age. I had a buddy, Oscar, who we lived down the street, like 5 houses down the street from each other at one point, and he loved movies and loves movies and loves film. Like my family never really rented movies or watched movies that much, and then I would go to his house and he's like, "Oh, my dad got 3 movies from Blockbuster. Which one do you want to watch?"
Nice.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like that, it was just like kind of foreign concept to me. So it was fun ride and all that stuff there. And so we kind of picked up a camera. I felt like I was better on technical aspects at that age, and like I really enjoyed the like doing it and then watching it back, and it was a different experience watching it back from the perspective of the camera than because we would like act in it too. So that was interesting of like, okay, where does camera go?
Yeah.
You know, if camera's here, and then there's a lot of fail of like, well, you don't even see our face at all.
Yeah,
you know?
right, yeah.
Because like, oh, put the camera here, and we do the thing, and it's like our back is towards the camera the whole time.
Yeah.
And like it does not work, or like it sits in a wide shot for the whole thing, and you're like, why isn't that emotion like transferring? So a lot of that was fun, and I would edit them too because I had a family computer that we got a free editing software on, Movie Maker.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
That's still around or anything?
I don't know.
Movie Maker.
Movie Maker. So I never learned iMovie because I didn't have a Mac, so this was PC.
PC, yeah. Was it like the PC software?
It like came with the
Oh,
computer. I
nice,
think.
nice.
Yeah.
It was probably super simple though and easy
Yeah.
to use.
Super simple, non-linear editing, but I hated editing.
Oh.
I would sit there. Oscar
See?
would
Yeah.
come to my house and sit over my shoulder so I would edit it.
Hmm.
Because otherwise I'd sit there and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. This,
Yeah.
You know, this,
You're like, I shot it. Like, it looks
anyone
good.
who's- yeah, edit it. And no, I would not think it looks good. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is atrocious. Like, well, I have to put this together. So like that, I mean, that's a whole thing. But anyone who's edited anything, like it doesn't have to be movies, I think will relate to like just sitting there and looking at it. And like, luckily I didn't have like a cell phone to scroll through, but I literally would stare at the computer and not do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because as you try to movie make and whatnot, you figure out like what you do like doing, and maybe it is performing, maybe it is acting for some parts. But then you get to the editing portion, and it's like, oh man, this part is tough. But like, does a DP like sit in with editors like on a big scale, like in terms of I guess selecting shots, or AD is or someone is taking notes of like, oh, that's the take we want.
Yeah, usually the script supervisor.
But yeah, so then you figured that out. You shot music videos in high school.
Yeah. And so just give some context here. So in I think 8th grade, there was like a short film competition at our junior high, and the drama teacher like put it on. We'd go in the library and everyone would watch each other's stuff.
That's cool.
Oscar and I submitted 8 different short films.
Wow. Did you win? I hope you won something.
I think one of them got 3rd place.
Wow. I hope a lot of kids submitted or.
Yeah, no, it was good to we just like every little idea we had we ran with.
Nice.
So they were never like thought through or anything. And it was like the one out of the 8 that I directed that was like my idea one. So I got,
nice.
Got
That's
a little
cool.
ego boost there, but
one of them was that the one you did Twilight, or you like did? Was it a spoof?
that was after.
Oh, was that after?
So after
Okay.
that, Oscar was like, okay, we're spreading ourselves too thin. We need to focus in on one thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write this. He was taking like acting classes. So got a community of actors together, and everyone was like, let's do stuff. Like, it was really fun environment. Which I was not involved in. That was all him. So it was great because he like met this guy that was a writer, and they like writ out this parody of, what was it? Was it Breaking Twilight?
Breaking Dawn,
Was it Breaking Dawn or
Eclipse, or
Eclipse?
Red Dawn?
Is the
Red
Eclipse one?
Eclipse is one, yeah.
I think it was Eclipse.
Okay.
And then
Because that was about 2010 when those movies were popping off. Yeah.
So it was the summer between junior high and high school. He like shows me a script. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. We actually did this.
Wow.
Like, who thought we could actually do this? And then it was like, all right, let's find a location. And then, all right, he got the actors. I'm like, oh my gosh, that seems like such an impossible thing to get people to sign up for this.
Yeah.
like it just didn't make sense. And then we're like in motion, we're doing it, we're like filming there, we have like a schedule, like it just blew up. So like Oscar really spearheaded that, but I got to you know, film that with him, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And, like a lot of momentum going to high school of like,
Yeah.
you know, we were doing it.
And then you were on the like the AV club type of thing in high school too, right?
Yeah, it was the first year you had to be on TV broadcast.
Yeah.
So you do the morning news for the whole thing, which I didn't really like TV broadcasting. I'm not a big broadcast guy, but you know, I was like, I'm gonna do this so I could check it off, and then I
Yeah.
can go into the class I want to be, which was
Right.
like more like a video production. So in our school, we did the morning announcements, and then on Friday there was like a special like news segment that the people that are sophomore, juniors, and seniors would each week, each team would get assigned, and they have to do like a story, they have to do a piece. And Oscar used that as a way to just do whatever.
Nice.
And so we
love it.
do like funny bits. We got like a funny guy, Nolan, like he like really liked being in front of camera.
I remember
and
this.
like kind of be the face, and he was really good at like being comedic.
Yeah.
And so it was like kind of a good trio of
Yeah.
of stuff. Yeah.
That's cool. And then so that we ended up doing music videos at our church. That was kind of a fun.
Yeah.
Like and those were competitions, and we took those very seriously.
yeah.
Those, I mean, different medium of filmmaking, shooting stuff.
I mean, it's all
Yeah.
Like when I describe this stuff, it sounds like we were doing revolutionary stuff. No, it's atrocious.
But what's funny is looking back on it, it's revolutionary that like we have it. You know what I mean? Like we have documentation of like the hobbies that you did. You know, like I played hundreds of games on Saturdays of basketball. That we have nothing to show for that, but like to have video. It's funny how video like lives longer and longer, and like as you look back on things, like they talk about like in the social media world that like our parents had photo albums, you know, of us, but now we have Instagram, and like you can go on your archive and see your daughter, like hundreds of videos on an app and stuff like that. And it's cool that filmmaking is one that's you guys can always look back on, even if it's bad, for better or worse. It's cool to
But
have.
sometimes it ages well. Like, oh, hey, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you look at the same thing and like, oh, that was terrible.
And then you had an interesting Super Bowl spot that you did, like Doritos every year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was
That was
fun one.
awesome.
Yeah. So in college, first year, I was like kind of like bogged down on like, you know, the man is like the rules. You have to do all this stuff. It's more like educational because it's a university. And then so every year Doritos at this time period, they would do this contest where you make a Doritos Super Bowl ad, and if it's good enough and they pick it, like they deem it worthy, and they have to pick one for their terms, then that will air on their I'm pretty sure it was a 30-second spot. It may have been 15, but a 30-second spot on Super Bowl, and you win $1 million. I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is crazy. And coming to find out, they save so much money.
Oh my gosh! Like yeah. Now like in hindsight, it's like how genius. Like social media marketing. Like
like because like you're gonna have a few people that spend like $20K and make something decent because they're commercial people already in the world. But yeah, because I've worked on $1 million spots, and like it's not Super Bowl level. You know, that's.
But you made one, and it ended up blowing up right with like a couple of years later. But you made an awesome one with Oscar's little brother.
Yeah. I had an idea for, you know, super original. This kid has a lemonade stand, and it's
Cute kid. That's a good.
Yeah,
That's a good
cute kid lemonade stand. You know,
simple idea.
And I think the premise goes, he's getting bested by the neighbor
Across the street,
stand, and how these like two girls, I think, were like, I don't even know where I got
They were killing it though.
the cats. Was that like a neighbor or?
Must have been.
I think it was all through Oscar. I think Oscar like.
You had used us too. I remember we like hung around
extras.
after church, and we were running down the street.
Yeah. Let me clarify this. Paint the picture. All right. Because we know what we're talking about. But that's it.
Yeah.
So the idea here was this little boy, he has this lemonade stand, and he's doing all right. You know, he's happy, he's content. And then he looks across the street and he sees that these two girls are killing it. Like they're raking in, they have the cute face, like they have like the pristine stand, and they're just doing a great job. And then he gets the genius idea of pulling out Doritos and offering free Doritos with purchase of lemonade.
Which honestly, what a combo.
Yeah, that's great, you know. And then so the word gets around town in the stampede of all the neighbors come running down the corner, you know, throwing money at this guy so they get it.
And then he's victorious.
Yeah. You know what this is based off of?
What?
So my mom was at a garage one time, a garage sale, and you know, it was no real traction or anything. And I'm like, we gotta get selling stuff. Like, what's the point of doing? We incentivize people to buy. And so I made a sign. I went inside and made a sign that said, "Free Capri Suns." Because I looked in the fridge and there's like 6 Capri Suns. So I grabbed them and I was like, "Free Capri Suns," and then in small font I put "with purchase from garage sale."
Nice.
So this guy came up and was like, "Oh, can I get my free Capri Sun?" I'm
You
like,
bought a
I was
lamp?
like, yeah. What'd you purchase? He's like, no, it says free. I'm like, oh, with the purchase. And so he spent 25 cents to buy like a CD or something, and then got his free thing. And so that's where the you know, the root of that idea came from.
Nice, dude. Then you got rid of your Capri Suns, and those are valuable in
Yeah.
Arizona.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's funny. And then you post it, you don't win, but
Yes.
but it still ended up being an awesome piece.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
Technically, it's
I think
not
it's awesome.
But yeah, I was like convinced, you know, like I have a shot. I have a real chance of getting top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No, but ended up being cool. So then you're in LA and you've done, dude, so many different things. Sometimes center of the universe things, you know, whether it's the Eras tour or being at the Oscars, which is insane.
Yeah.
Do you feel like way more like equipped now than ever? Like at least understanding too of even how sets work. Oh, really?
I feel like I know less than like it's this weird thing of like I feel like the more you know, the less you know. Or like the more you know, the more you realize
There's so much.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of that of like I've worked to give context. I've moved out to Los Angeles after film school, and I started working in the lighting department, the grip department, and then transitioned to camera. So I've been in the camera department for probably 5 years now. So doing all sorts of commercials, concerts, that type of stuff. Yeah. And then also being a DP on projects as well along the way on various scales. So that's been a blast. What was your question?
No, just like, I mean, it's kind of I guess it would be 6 years. 2018, right? Is when you moved out here. Yeah. So yeah, just from work, you've worked on features, you've worked with big talent, you've worked, I don't know, across the board. Is it like what's the thing that you've been most excited to do in your last couple of years? Like what's like from small scale to like what gets you excited when you do it?
I like working on big projects.
Yeah.
I like working with big name people, but it's not because, you know, it's always cool to like, you know, last night I showed my sister-in-law a screen grab of the set I worked on, and there's 4 actors there, and she's like, "No way you worked," and she, you know, it's like top clientele, you know, but it's like, there's a little bit of that, but most of the time I like it because it's professional. Yeah. Like it's a team sport. Yeah. Which I played hockey in high school and college, and I loved the team sport aspect of it. And I feel like filmmaking is very much a team sport. Yeah. And so when you get on the higher budget and higher stuff, it's even more dependent that the team plays well together. Yeah. And so I like a good team and executing and actually having something to show for it. Yeah. Like the work that and people can see it and enjoy it. Yeah.
It's cool too, because I think people don't realize, like, I mean, you see like actors talk about it like later on, but you really are, if you're on a movie that shoots 6 weeks, like you're spending 5 to 6 days on a 12-hour day, sometimes longer or whatnot set. And so you're with these people and then you're creating this thing and you're kind of going crazy together.
Yeah.
And you have awesome days together, you have hard days together, but it's like it's this bond that's created and you're hopefully creating something awesome.
Yeah.
And then you drop it and you start over and you do another thing the next month or whatever.
Yeah, you really gotta cherish. I try to cherish like when there's a good team. I'd mostly do like commercials or like stuff between like 1-day production to 4-day production.
Yeah.
5-day production. So it's very small. I've done a couple feature films that are like 15 to 20 days, so on the shorter side. But even that is a good amount of time, I feel like, to build a bond because it's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
With people. But I have a buddy who's on a TV show right now that just started. It's going to be 18 weeks.
Wow.
And it's like something that a lot of people are going to see. Like it's a big thing.
Know about, yeah.
And I'm not on that one, but super excited for him because he's crossing into that like top tier level of filmmaking where like each camera is like super organized. It's a well-oiled machine. It moves a bit slower, but it's like that real professional. Everyone is so good at their craft, and you make something awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's dope, dude. I think you have a pretty cool story in terms of becoming a filmmaker yourself and like figuring out the business because it's a kind of crazy industry in business too.
Oh, it's so wild. Like just to go off like some stuff I've
done.
The
film school line, when you first got to LA and you told someone you went to film school.
Yeah.
And what'd they say?
So what?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
there's so much that you have to now relearn or unlearn about
Yeah.
business and networking.
Oh, there's so much like more to it because you have to get the job. Like I remember the first job I did when I moved out to LA. Oh, this is a funny story. So my mom gets a check in the mail because I moved out to Los Angeles, but I had like a temporary spot for 4 months before I got married, and we officially moved out here and like changed where we reside and stuff like that. So my checks went back to my mom's house.
Yeah.
She gets this check in the mail from this company, and on the top it says like the return address. It says Ninja Sex Party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all she knows
calls
is
me. It's like, Jacob, what kind of shoots are you doing? I'm like, no, Mom, it was awesome. You know, Finn Wolfhard was there. Like all this
Stranger
stuff.
Things.
I didn't even know until a month later. You know, so it was before it came out.
Yeah.
But
after Stranger Things, yeah.
But after Stranger Things season 1, before it, what's it called? That set, I just remember like, you know, like I'm ready, like I'm gun ho, like I'll do anything and like whatever you need help, I'll do it type of mentality, which is great, but also you gotta realize that you don't know how things work
100%.
and you can cause more damage.
Yeah.
I've had 2 experiences on that set. Like they're like, hey, can you set this flag? And a flag is a piece of grip equipment to help shape light. So if you ever turn on a light and it just fills the whole room, imagine putting blockers by it so it really focuses that light.
One spot,
to really create shape and depth, and that's filmmaking. So I like go to set it up, and I'm like, it's 4 foot by 4 foot. So I'm like, and there's a pin in the middle, and you got to put this pin in this thing, but it has to be on the right hand side so it tightens. So I'm like, struggling to put it on, and they're looking at me like shaking their head, like, who is this guy? Like, where'd you get him? And I'm just like, I went to film school and I don't even know how to set a flag.
Yeah.
But it's like film school's not for the technical aspects.
Right.
But yeah. And then I may have at the end of the day unplugged the wrong, because I was exhausted, unplugged the wrong like a Stinger extension cord, and that one went to the DIT who was offloading the footage. But he had a UPS battery backup. The producer's right next to him, and he was like, hey, see what just happened? You know, someone accidentally, they pulled the wrong one. Nothing's going down. The files would have been corrupted, but since you gave me my kit feed to have this, everything's safe. So it was like he used that. He was nice, and I still work with him today.
That's cool.
But he did a nice way of showing the value add that he brings.
And that's an important part of like the industry, to be able to be like, hey, look, this cart that we rented, look how useful it was.
Yeah.
That we needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of have to like sell yourself. Even like,
Yes.
like people, I think people think that actors have to come here and really sell themselves, but like everyone kind of has to. Like from a makeup artist to an audio guy to whatever, you have to show that you'll be there on time, that you'll work quickly and
That's the bare
cleanly, and
minimum. Yeah.
it's yeah,
You gotta show like why you cost you do, because someone's always gonna do it cheaper.
yeah,
And so your rate is, you're like, no, they're standard rates.
Yeah.
So like I fall either standard rate or a little bit above whatever you do. But you're like, this is my rate. And like, well, this is what we have. And then it's either, do you negotiate now?
yeah,
Do you have a leg to stand on and say, oh, this is not the job for me, and hang up?
yeah, yeah. It's
Or do you accept the low ball price, and then
Yeah.
they complain, and then it's a dance.
Yeah. Then you gotta be a hard worker. And honestly, and I've experienced this, I don't know if you have, you gotta be likable. You gotta be like someone like workable is good, where it's like, oh, he works hard, he's all that stuff. It's important. But the thing is there are hundreds of thousands of people who want your position, who could do your position.
it's not that
But
hard.
like, are you someone who makes set a not stressful place to be, and I don't have to worry about, oh man, is Jacob going to wrap those cables correctly, or is she going to lay that down or keep his station well equipped or whatnot? Like, I think it's so much of like, can you make it so your boss doesn't have to worry about your thing, but also enjoys you, and like, when you're saying goodbye for the day, it's funny and it's whatever.
It's so applicable to.
odd. Because jobs are like one after another. You don't know what your next job you're doing next week, but the job you're on now could get you that one next
The
week.
guy who called me for Eras Tour to work on that and actually operate some of the shots,
Save cinema.
I basically saved some.
Yeah.
So like, to put it lightly,
The Eras Tour movie, by the way.
yes.
Not that you weren't on the broadcast. It's for the movie.
My part was for the post credits of the movie, which was 15 minutes long.
Yeah. Which
So-
the credits are the most important part of the movie. Everyone,
It keeps you engaged, and
people looking for the names. People don't want to leave. They're sad.
Well, the way they did it was it's 15 minutes of names, but they also did like vignettes of like the fan experience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I got to operate some of the shots there
At SoFi.
at SoFi.
That's
and,
cool.
Yeah, union gig, and everything is.
And you became a Swiftie, like
Yes.
in the process.
Yeah.
So she even wins.
But even getting that job, what I'm saying is like, I would have never guessed that this DP would be in that position. But he's really good friends with the director, Sam.
Yep.
And he called him up, was like, hey, I need this to be good. Can you just do it?
Yeah.
Like, I know you, I've worked with you before on other stuff. Like, I need this specific thing. Now, he had a different DP for the thing, and this DP came on as an operator. So I'm not, just so it's clear. But that's how it's all friendships. Of like, hey, I know you can take care of it. And I worked with him in the past, and he knew I was union, and I don't think he knew too many union people. And was like, and he knows like I just, whatever we get thrown at, it's like, okay, cool, let's make it work.
Yeah.
Like, oof, this is not ideal, but okay, how can we make it the best?
Yeah.
So that helped me get that opportunity.
It's unreal.
I would have not have thought, like, if you're looking at like a ladder,
Yeah.
it's not like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, I have every job I've gotten in LA. I think I can say every job. Well, maybe there's two weird ones I worked early on when I worked for a producer as like an assistant. But every job I didn't get because I had the LinkedIn Premium and I had Indeed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's because I was on a set and someone's like, "Oh, hey, like they need talent wranglers next for World of Dance,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, shoot, I'm available." Boom, I'm on.
Yeah.
Or like, I met someone at a bar at about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Like who I thought he was a security guy and he was like following me. And finally, like he comes up to me and I'm like freaked out. I'm like, dude, am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? And he's like, hey, Kiana. And I'm like, oh yeah. He had seen me from her like Instagram story because, we were hanging out a bunch and mutual friends. He's like, oh, we follow each other that night, and then a few days later, he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for wranglers. Like, do you want to come work?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's just this really funny way of how like the city works or how the industry works. And I remember like before the pandemic, like I knew a few managers who did talent wrangling who were all like who were people who built teams, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
sweet, I know that they'll be thinking of me because they're like, shoot, I need 8 people.
Yeah.
Who are my 8 people? Boom, I know Dylan's reliable. Dylan's fun to work with.
Yeah.
He's good with talent, all that stuff. And yeah, dude, it's funny how it all works. Like bigger than film school, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have your connections from film school. You do
Yeah.
learn stuff, but like, yeah,
Collaborators.
it's I have a producer that we went to film school. We reconnected out here, and he's really an advocate for me for director of photography work.
That's cool.
So it's awesome.
That's sick. All right, wait, we need to get into your desert island movies.
All right.
Okay, because like we've
Switching
talked
things
about,
up.
but like what are the movies we ask every guest that comes on BioPic?
Okay.
You're on a desert island and you can take this any way you want.
Yeah.
Some
What's
people,
the scenario here?
you can take it however you want. Like, but these are 5 movies, only 5 you can watch forever. We're gonna say, like let's say you have no idea if you're ever getting off this island.
So there's possibility for hope of rescue, but there's nothing
guarantees.
foreseeable.
There's nothing guaranteed.
I have the rocks out. I have like 2 flares left.
But like you
but
were
no planes in sight.
Yeah. It was you kind of. I don't know if you got into trouble and you got dropped on this island because you owed something, and they're like, we'll give you 5 movies to watch forever.
Well,
potentially.
the way I imagine it, I'm training to sail across the world.
That's perfect. Okay, so wait, but that means you need movies that'll help you train for that.
No, and I'm like, just in case I crash.
Okay, so what are your 5? Let's go one at a time.
Ooh, okay, so
First one.
there's a lot of pressure, but you got to go with Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. Are you
Citizen
serious?
Kane, yes.
Okay.
So Citizen
Why do you
Kane-
got to go Citizen Kane?
Citizen Kane's like the perfect movie.
Right.
It's a good piece. It has a good storyline. It visually tells the story well.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's never seen it, but it's an older movie, black and white, but it's shot very well.
Yeah.
For the time. There's some revolutionary stuff. The camera goes through a glass skylight and all this stuff. So I think watching that would kind of bring me back to filmmaking in general, and like kind of a piece of me, and kind of to not lose hope.
Okay. Citizen Kane. Yeah, there's a good thing he's searching for, in himself too. So there's
the whole premise
story's
is
good.
Well, like it's based off of, I think, William Hearst, which I almost did a feature film with a story about his granddaughter being kidnapped.
Wow.
But yeah, still in legal battles for that.
Wow.
So can't speak too much more about
Interesting drama. Wow. All right.
that. And then second one, right?
All right. Number 2. Yeah, Citizen Kane.
So going off,
and that's a good long movie too. That'll keep you busy for a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a good story arc, and like it's about, he really is this art collector, this, very wealthy individual, and he's searching for this one piece of art, and later finds out that he's had it all along. Like that's like moral of the story type thing, like greed, and like you gotta like what you have now, you gotta cherish that, and whatever. So next thing, going off motivation, like keeping me, gotta do 8 Mile.
8 Mile.
8 Mile. I think that is
Eminem.
the perfect biopic movie that has ever created, and there'll never be one like it.
Wow.
It's
like
about Eminem's life. He plays himself.
Yeah, that's hard to do. That's like
It's impossible to do.
Yeah, and it's Eminem who was goofy. Like he was coming off of the '90s where My Name Is and all the craziest, goofiest music videos, and now a dramatic role.
Yeah, dramatic role about his life, and it makes sense. It's believable, and it doesn't feel. Maybe if I watch it again, it'd be like, oh, okay,
little
now
cheesy.
it's cheesy. But
Yeah.
I feel like when I watched it, it wasn't cheesy.
I feel like because it's in the ether, like when people like just say like 8 Mile, like it is kind of like a funny thing. And Lose Yourself is this like kind of Don't Stop Believing type song where like everyone knows it, and it's a little cheesy that everyone knows it, but it's still awesome.
So on the nose,
yeah.
Which is hilarious that it takes itself so seriously, and but it's on the nose.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
And dude, I mean, like I've definitely been guilty of like, let me throw on those last rap battle scenes like at the end there because it's awesome.
Because it's
epic
all
battles.
about, like taking control back of your own life and
In your own
like,
narrative, yeah.
yeah, like I'm in control. Like it doesn't matter what you think of me, you know, because this
Yeah.
is what I think of myself.
And he's maybe a billionaire, or at least like one of the most successful music artists.
Yeah.
I think he's the highest selling music artist of the 2000 from 2000 on. And yeah, it's a movie that it's an Oscar winning movie. Good cast, Michael Shannon, Brittany Murphy. Yeah, Exhibit. Okay, 8 Mile.
yeah.
That's good. I don't hate that choice.
In that,
Citizen Kane and 8 Mile. All right, then let's keep it
so
going.
the third one, we go into my favorite genre is heist.
Heist. Okay.
And one of my favorite movies I watched early on was, I mean, there's so many good ones.
Heist. Yeah,
Of-
I like having a heist movie.
And
I'm
like,
a fan of that.
I don't know, there's so many good. I go back and forth this one. Can I say no?
You got to make a choice.
I
You're on
want
a
to do
desert
a
island.
Christopher Nolan film, but I don't think it's gonna make it on that island because we're on the island.
You don't think it's gonna make it there?
Like, I don't think I can choose one
Okay.
for that. So I'm gonna go with Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects. Nice.
1995, Kaiser Sose. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's the plot twist there, the deception,
Good
layers
dialogue.
there.
Yeah.
So if I was on this island for, you know, nefarious reasons, I could kind of train myself into, you know, disguising and kind of pulling the strings, even when have the lower hand.
That's a movie where even if you know the ending and it's like, oh, like, you know, you kind of remember how it plays out.
Yeah.
It's still like worth watching, which is cool because I think like some movies can lean on a twist
Yes.
and whatnot, but this one you can even, if you do know the twist, you can go like, they were leaving crumbs the whole time.
Yeah,
that's a really
they're
well crafted
foreshadowing very well in a way that doesn't, you know, does it justice.
Yeah.
And then
Usual Suspects. Okay, I like it. So 8 Mile, Citizen Kane, Usual Suspects.
And then for the fourth one, because I'm thinking like, okay, if my only source of entertainment is gonna be movies, like that's it. Like, what else am I gonna do on that? So I'm like, ooh, do I want some like music?
Oh,
Like, could I listen? Like,
well, 8 Mile's a little music, but
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean though.
but like, you know, what if I bring Rocket Man,
Okay.
so I can listen to Elton John?
Yeah.
I'll just fast forward to all the Elton John songs because that's classic.
Saturday Nights.
Yeah,
That's a good
so
theme
good.
too. Yeah.
And
That's
just
I like
like-
that one better than Bohemian too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I mean, Elton John was such good music.
Bangers.
You know, and they're timeless. I can listen to them. Well, we'll see on island, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking like if I'm like chopping wood, I'm blasting.
Yeah.
Saturday, and I can do my work and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and do what I need to survive to like a soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then everything else, I like all the other elements. Just skip over that. And
Okay.
Just really use that for like an Elton John like playlist.
I like it. That's I like that idea of having something that's musical. Even like picking a movie like a Baby Driver that has awesome soundtrack, you
like
know.
that was my idea of like something that is like very music oriented. So then you could
I like that.
like kind of use it in a different way.
Nice. Okay, yeah, using these movies as resourceful. I like it. Okay, so
And then so we covered like kind of like my hope,
heist,
it's just like, you know, favorite
mind
movie.
bending, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of engaging, which I could like switch that out for like prestige
You
or
could.
momentum. So like that's kind of my flex one in there, because it's 1995. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's kind of
8 Mile, Usual Suspects,
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, and then you just said Rocket Man. Okay, so now
And the
one
fifth
more.
one, I mean, I think this one's obvious. You know, you need, like when you're in a place of despair, like you need something that you can relate with. Like, I don't have another person I can talk to that can relate to how I'm feeling in that moment, and so I'm gonna pick Castaway.
Castaway. Nice. Yeah. That's yeah, and then you can learn. I mean, you might not have a volleyball.
But I have Wilson,
You have Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, and Wilson, and that's the three of us.
Yeah.
And so
and it's a good movie.
It's a great movie. So if I, you know, feel lonely, I need to relate, you know, I have that. You know, I
Nice.
have like my hope movies and my music movies and like just my for fun movie. But yeah, I think I need something to like get me to see the other end of like
Yeah.
see how the sausage gets made, you know.
Yeah, yeah. See, I think he use like his hair
I don't know.
I
I
don't-
would have to
yeah.
watch it again, and then be
Yeah.
like survivor skills of like, oh, I
True.
can do this, or ooh, that did not work out. That seemed like a good idea. What else can I do?
Yeah. Nice. All right.
So
So
those are my 5.
Castaway coming in last there
Yeah.
at 5. Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Got some music.
Yeah.
We got The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Got a little twisty, heisty.
Flex with maybe prestige.
With maybe
'cause,
prestige.
you
I
know,
like that. No Ocean's 11 as far as heist.
No, I mean,
Just so you can remember Vegas, or that would just be, no, you don't need to remember that. Honestly, I think Inception's my favorite heist movie because
Inception's cool.
that's a good, like, getting the band together in a unique, cool way, but it's also like creating movies, and it's, and then 8 Mile,
Yeah.
some inspiration,
Yeah.
some good
You gotta believe
storytelling.
myself, you know. I come
Lose
from
yourself,
nothing.
coming from nothing, Detroit stamping to this island, and then Citizen Kane, nice long rosebud.
Rosebud. Yeah,
Dang, dude.
remember your
Those are your
rosebud.
5. You're
Yeah.
stuck.
I'm stuck.
Nice. All right. Well, I like it. I got one more thing I want to do before we talk about everything everywhere all at once.
All right.
But so do you remember we also went to Blockbuster together as kids.
Yeah. Yes,
I
we
worked
did.
at Blockbuster.
You did work at Blockbuster.
My favorite job ever. Like in hindsight, I was actually I left your house the other night and I came home. I don't think I texted you, but I was laughing to myself thinking about being backed by Dish and how that was
That
such
was
a
big- So Dylan had this opportunity where he in two jobs of like he could work at Best Buy or he could work at Blockbuster.
in 2014, we should say too.
And so
Which
the way this looked was like you could go the responsible route and do like a respectable Best Buy.
Best Buy. Yeah. And I was trying to move on from our pizza job from our high school days.
Yeah.
I was trying to level up a little bit. Maybe get a little more corporate, maybe something where I can become a manager of a cool spot.
Yeah.
And Best Buy, we had heard some good opportunities.
Yeah, you can level up, good base rate, you know, all this stuff. And then or Best Buy, Blockbuster, which was it wasn't on the rocks yet.
But Netflix we were watching The Office on Netflix and all that stuff. Like Netflix was awesome.
It was descending, but it was backed by Dish, so it was like it couldn't fail. It
Blockbuster was
too
backed
big
by
to
Dish.
fail.
And that's what they had told. Someone had asked during the interview. Someone was like, "Hey, so Blockbusters have been closing rapidly. Like, what do you guys have to say about that?" And they're like, "Well, actually, we're backed by Dish, so we're really not going anywhere." And that was their line. And
This
I was
how many
19
months before you got laid off.
Yeah, so I started in August, and then my mom sent me a text of like Blockbuster stores closing across the nation, and I sent it to my manager, and she's like, "What?" The manager didn't even know. and then yeah, so I was the last round of hiring in like the Arizona district where we lived, and I helped close down a Blockbuster. Honestly, my DVD collection here, half of it is probably due to Blockbuster because like I was buying them, like we had to end up selling everything, and so we all kind of had our stacks of movies. We're like, oh man, I would love to own this forever, and then now discs are gone, and we're watching movies on digital libraries or
But I
streamers
think
now.
those came with coupons.
Oh right. Every time you bought a DVD, but remember everyone had a slip that everyone threw away, but I caught on in 2013.
You were asking everyone for their slip.
Because you could have a digital library. You open your thing and you could put you paid for the movie for $15, and so but now you can put it on Vudu, and people are like, what's
it was
Vudu?
like Flix something.
Flixster, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, and then it consolidated. To,
And what's cool is I picked Vudu back then, and Vudu is still the number one digital
Flixster,
library.
I think shut down.
Yeah.
I was getting notifications of like your library's going
And
away.
Vudu is where it's always where I rent a movie now too. If I'm like, oh, I want to watch that one. I watched Anatomy of a Fall recently on Vudu, but all these movies, and so like I have movie slips. Yeah, exactly. I love it, dude. It's my favorite. Yeah, Vudu right here. And so yeah. So what I did here is I have my DVD collection, and so I'm gonna do what would happen on a Friday night is if like you said, Oscar would go to Blockbuster, bring home 5, and it's like, what are we gonna watch?
Yeah.
So I have 5 movies here,
And we did that in high school.
Yes, we do it in high school. I have 5. We have to choose to watch one tonight.
Okay.
We're not really gonna watch it right now, but I have 5 options for you.
All right.
You have to tell me which one we should watch. Okay, so let's start with that's a good one. Sherlock Holmes.
Ooh.
Robert Downey
Holmes.
Jr. It's a good one, right? Do you remember this?
Jude Law.
This was fun. It had
Rachel
that.
McAdams.
I put it
Mark
on the.
Strong.
I put on the DBN's Instagram all the shorts of the fighting scene. Remember where he talks
Yeah.
about it in his head? Awesome.
This is good because it's heist adjacent.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Mystery.
it's mystery. It's about just outsmarting your opponent and not
Yeah.
necessarily like outworking them. So I mean, Sherlock Holmes is.
That's a good one.
notorious for that, so.
Maybe we'll watch that one.
Okay.
Okay, and then next one, Super 8.
Oh, Super 8.
Cool movie. I like this movie. It didn't get great critical reception, but I think we liked it.
Yeah,
and it's
a
also
fun movie.
it's J.J. Abrams. It's lens flares.
Yeah.
It's kids making
Oh,
movies.
this is like Bad Robot stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. I think this is early bad.
Industrial Light and Magic.
I think this movie
Yeah, Bad
got
Robot.
him. Well, he did Star Trek too, but it helped get him Star Wars, like because
Yeah.
he was a cool sci-fi director, but also based in like reality. Kind of felt this movie felt ET-ish.
Oh yeah, it's very very visual effects happy and it's
Yeah.
a cool thing. I don't necessarily relate to it because I was not this intense with like
Movie making,
and it kind of like makes you feel like, dang, dude, we should actually like tried.
Yeah, but good one. This is another option I brought back from the store. Okay, here's another one. Okay, comedy, maybe one of the funniest movies ever. Step Brothers. Step Brothers, and on Blu-ray.
Oh,
funny one.
extended version.
Extended,
You know,
yeah.
more laughs.
Extended. This is when DVDs they would say unrated version, as if it
There's
was like
two discs. So you have your
Look at that.
normal and then your extended.
yeah. When was the last time you watched the movie on DVD? When was the last time you think
Well,
you
this is Blu-ray.
Blu-ray or DVD? When was the last time you put a disc in a disc player to watch a movie?
Very very long time.
right. Isn't that kind of crazy?
I have like a DVD player that it goes like USB into my computer,
That's funny.
but
yeah.
I have not used that ever.
Yeah.
I just got it because I'm like, I'm gonna need this.
Yeah. So Step Brothers, we have that if we want to
Right.
laugh. That's a funny
That's
one.
good.
You get Delirious. That's one of the
That's
like
good. Just
Step Brother. How does this rank for Will Ferrell for you? Or like,
I
what do you,
think
when you think
so.
Will Ferrell is go kicking and screaming? Maybe go.
Kicking and Screaming is
the other
underrated,
guys.
but this is more funny. That's like just the whole premise and everything.
Magic. Now you
Ooh.
see me. This is heist.
Now, yeah,
This is a good heist one. This is heist with magic.
with magic.
Great cast: Morgan Freeman, Mark Ruffalo, Jesse
Oh,
Eisenberg,
Look at the top there, it's just stacked.
Isla Fisher. Yeah, dude. I you know what I regret doing too is so I got a lot of these. Oh look, it even says it right here: rental only at the top there.
No
That's how you.
way.
That's how you know I got it from
Oh,
Blockbuster.
dude, you should have not opened this.
Well, no. What's funny
steal.
is what they would do at the end of Blockbuster days is they would go to Target and buy 20 discs, and then they would bring the cases, and they would take the discs out and put it in the Blockbuster things that had the lock on it. Remember, there was a lock on every movie,
Yeah.
a little plastic thing, and you had to have the crazy magnet to undo it. And so what I did is I hated those cases because they were kind of ugly and they weren't as like smooth and flat as this one. Is I switched them. I didn't use any of the Blockbuster cases, so I don't think I have any Blockbuster cases, which kind of stinks that have the little lock on it and whatnot. How funny
That
would
would've
that
been
have cool
so
that I still had it, and because we would, you'd check people out and then you'd like pull out the thing and then hand it
Unlock
to
it
them.
and you make
Yeah.
sure it's the right movie in there.
Yeah, well, sometimes yeah. Make sure it scratches, and there always are, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, no, this will play.
This will play." Then they come back hours later, and you're like, "Dang it, that's the Titanic. We know that one doesn't work."
And then I'm sure you don't even mark it. You don't do anything to it. It just like goes back in the system.
Okay, last
All right, last
option,
one,
and this is gonna put you in a pickle, or this might be the sealer.
All right.
Abraham Lincoln,
Oh.
Vampire Hunter. This is cinema.
Oh, this is classic.
This is cinema. Like you talk about Citizen Kane being the greatest movie of all time, but I think you forgot about this. And I don't know if
No,
this
I
now
didn't say greatest movie of all time. It's referred to as the perfect movie.
again for rental only. That is cool. Wow. That is. I feel like I'm pulling. These belong in a museum a little
Tim
bit.
Burton. This is
Did he direct? He might have just been a Tim Burton. Like he just put his name.
Tim
on it.
Burton Presents. That's what it says on top.
Oh.
I don't know who directed this, but it says Tim Burton Presents.
But okay, this is a movie we love. That's why I pulled it out. Of course.
So if no one's ever seen this, so I didn't know anything about this movie when we started, and we're like, oh, this is.
We were probably
We're
it was
like-
like we were late at night, high
just
school.
Look at this.
Or
We're
did we go
like,
to the? Did we see it in theater?
I don't
We
know.
might have saw it in theaters.
But like, you look at this, you see the poster in the movie theater, you're like, Abraham Lincoln's cool, and this was like Twilight time.
Yeah, true.
it's all this
Vampires
stuff.
were in everything.
And so we're like,
Zombies.
okay, maybe it's like a parody of like the movie, but Abraham Lincoln's cool. You know, he's a tall dude that like
And it's slavery, right? Yeah.
you know, Emancipation Proclamation. So
It's honestly like an awesome movie.
I
Like
think-
from what I remember, like it takes itself seriously in a
so
way that
seriously.
like
and then makes you think, oh, I should take this seriously.
yes, and like I think the scenes are pretty like epic and awesome. Like so basically
my
the
gosh.
premise is that vampires were fighting for the South in the Civil War, and so they were the South's like secret weapon. And Abraham, and I believe this is based off of like diary entries that Abraham Lincoln actually used to write.
I think it's like his fiction. Like,
Yeah, he would-
like free thinking. Like
Yes,
creative
he would
juice.
write as if he was a vampire slayer. And so this is his rise through politics. And like when he was a lawyer and then when he was a junior politician and all this stuff. And as he's coming up as Abraham Lincoln, he has this underlying battle with vampires and he has this axe that is also a shotgun at one point. And there's this insane train sequence where and it's an epic movie. There's a girl at my work who has a shirt that says Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and I'm always like, dude, that movie is awesome.
That it is because I believe this one opens on Abraham Lincoln. Everything looks normal. He has this axe, but it's like could be a cane or something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Swinging it around.
he gets attacked and he just slays these vampires.
There's an epic sequence too where like he's trying to chop down wood, right? And then he just swings and takes down a giant tree. And it's like it's pretty cheesy, but like if you're along for the ride and you're down for a little bit of ridiculous, it's fun. So what are we watching?
Okay, let's run through them.
All right, so Super 8, Sherlock Holmes, Now You See Me, Step Brothers, or Abraham Lincoln.
I think I want to go with comedy gold, and we're gonna do Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. See, I figured that one would win.
Yeah, this is the real deal right here.
That's beautiful. All right, so we have our answer. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, this is we got to recommend it to the people for rental only. That is so
For
sick.
rental.
That is so sick. And I bet you too, like when we put it in, it says something about like this, like no burning this disc, like because it's rental. Like it
even
has a
more
protection on
than
it.
the
Yeah.
Normal piracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so. Oh man, those piracy commercials were
I
pretty
mean, they
epic.
do affect people. Like now,
You
like,
wouldn't steal a car. That
no,
one.
it sounds crazy, but like now we're in the industry, like, oh, my pension and healthcare, maybe not so much anymore, but for the bulk of that was all funded through DVD sales, and
Yeah.
like that was a huge part of
That was extra mailbox money.
points went back to the unions and sustain people's lives and livelihoods.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, it does hurt people.
It's interesting. All right, we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
And
Great movie, Oscar-winning movie. It's Oscar season.
Oscar season, dude. I wrote down some interesting things about this movie that I learned. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Stick around.
Well, this right here, this is an ad break, and it's an ad break for this very ad break. And instead of showing you maybe your product or talking about your product or the thing you would want me to talk about, I'm just going to talk about this space, this time in the middle of the episode where I'm interrupting the conversation, maybe giving the talent a break, and I'm talking about an ad. But the ad is not your product, not yet, but it's just this ad. It's this space and time. And that's all. Back to the show. And hey, welcome back. We're here, dude. How was your break?
Good. Yeah.
Nice.
Quench my thirst and
Nice.
ready to rock and roll.
Nice.
I feel like I was a little all over the place, sporadic here, there, kind of like the film.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything
Yeah, so
Everywhere All at Once.
BioPic, we always talk about one movie, and we decided a few weeks ago that we wanted to do a Best Picture winner.
Yes.
Because
An Oscar winner.
the award season's coming to an end here shortly with the Oscars
Academy. Yeah.
in March, I believe, and yeah, we picked a bunch of movies. We actually originally picked The Hurt Locker, which was great to revisit and rewatch, but we didn't end up landing on it. We ended up on Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie came out in 2002. It is directed by the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, which is Pretty cool. The two directors,
Yeah.
duo. A24 movie. I had read that this is actually the most awarded movie of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Wow.
This had so many nominations at the Oscars, including writing, the acting awards. They had two supporting actress, one best actress, best supporting
Yeah,
actor.
she did great. Did she win?
Jamie Lee Curtis won
Okay.
for her role for supporting. The daughter was also nominated as well. What is her name?
I'm bad.
Oh,
with
Stephanie Shu. Stephanie Shu. Yeah, yeah. Ki Kwan, he won for best supporting actor. And then Michelle Yeoh won for actress. The directors won for writing, and they won for directing.
They swept.
Yeah, they swept. They absolutely killed it. And this was a year where I was like, dude, I'm on board. I get it.
No, I get it. I mean,
Sometimes it's a little,
Political.
sniffy.
Yeah.
Political and all that
it's
stuff.
You tout your actors.
This is also from Lionsgate and A24, not a major, huge Universal,
no.
even
This
a
was like
streamer.
a $7 million movie.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It was shot in 38 days. It won 7 of 11 Oscars. Just an amazing movie. I remember I saw it in March, which usually they roll out these movies at the end of the year, so they're fresh in people's minds. This one came out way early and still had the momentum to be awesome.
Oh, it was so good. It shot so well too for the tight budget, and I forgot who the DP is. I think it's Lawrence.
Yeah, but go on.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Very well shot. They use crazy, like they switch up the aspect ratio that they shoot on. They shoot on like 5-6 different lens sets, which usually you pick one lens set and you do that for the whole run of show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good example of a movie that breaks a lot of rules, right? That
for an intention. Well, breaks a lot of rules because you're going to a different universe, and how do you visually tell that you're in a different universe?
Yeah.
You can easily lose an audience of like, where are we at now?
Yeah.
And then it defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, it's of course it's a story of really a family, but a woman, Evelyn Wang, who is an immigrant who has a laundromat, and they're dealing with taxes, and they're dealing with kind of they really just set up like, what's the worst possible problem that a human has to deal with?
Yeah,
it's a
like
failing
you
business,
come to a new
failing
country,
marriage,
failing marriage, a struggling business, and there's like a language gap between like rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And you said I could do this, but not understanding, and then the IRS is a completely different language and set of rules.
And it's so funny because I was talking to someone at work about it. Like, you look at even this year, right? Like, Oppenheimer is the big movie, Barbie's the big movie. There are these movies that all come from either an existing property or something that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so an original idea like this, like, can you imagine pitching this idea and going, I have this amazing, and it becomes the most awarded movie of all time.
Yeah, the Daniels did a really good job of like getting people on board, because like it's one thing, because like how do you explain that when it's not been done before?
Right.
Like, how do you even begin?
No, yeah.
And someone would be like,
it's a woman who can tap into multiple universes to get powers to fight off.
She came off of what Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
And I mean, huge success there, and then coming to do this wacko film, and I think acting, everything was on point.
Everything. It's like it reminded me, actually. I thought of Wizard of Oz actually when I was watching this movie, because it's like we're gonna go to this fantasy land and kind of learn a lesson, right?
Yeah.
In a very simple way.
Okay, yeah.
Like It's a Wonderful Life does that as well, right? He gets to see what life would be like if I'd never been born, and you go on this crazy journey, except it's an internal journey for her, and it's this unique battle with universes. And multiverses is such a popular thing right now, with Spider-Man doing it really well, Marvel giving it a try and doing a decent job, but for them to do one that is relatable, like a movie where you feel related to this a woman who taps into a universe where we don't have bones in our hands
Yeah,
and
hot
we have
dogs.
hot dog hands, and it is moving, and you want to cry because these hot dog hand people.
Well, it all what I see it as at the core, it's a mom fighting for her daughter,
Yeah.
in that relationship, and I think that's super powerful, moving, and easily relatable.
Well,
I had sisters, I had a mom,
yeah, and that stood out to me too the first time, but this one I was noticing too, because even at the ending, as things are starting to get resolved, and we'll probably be spoiling and
yeah.
whatnot.
Oh yeah,
But
huge spoilers. Watch the movie at the break that we just had,
Yeah.
and then come into this.
But at the end, like during like kind of the resolutions,
Yeah.
like the moment with her and her dad actually like is
Yeah.
what really hit me in the face this time. And I actually don't have like a relationship with my dad like her, but like I could
was
see
estranged.
I could see the resolve, right? Because she has this relationship with her father that we get to see, a relationship with her husband that we see, and then a relationship with her daughter
Yeah.
that we see, and each one does get resolved in their own
Yeah.
way, and even her resolution with the woman who handles her taxes.
Yeah.
It all kind of gets handled.
Yeah.
And these are all relationships that we all manage, of like we all have parents
Yeah.
or have some relationship with our parents or with our spouse or with our partner, and then
Yeah.
the
The auditor at the IRS.
The daughter or
Everyone's
whatever.
been audited. It's
we've all been there.
right. Right? Not
Um,
just me.
Dude, it's so well crafted. Even like the opening shot, we see mirrors, and I think what I got right then is like, hey, you're gonna see yourself in this family. You're gonna see yourself in this Evelyn woman who you probably think you can't relate to.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm like, man, what is this movie gonna be about? How am I gonna relate
Yeah.
to an Asian immigrant family who runs a laundromat? And then
Yeah.
by the end, you're like, oh, like you're in a puddle because you're like, holy crap, I went on this journey with you. And then I kind of thought about, I put myself in your shoes of like, what if I went this way? What if
Yeah.
I didn't do this? What if I didn't leave? And
Yeah. Does this even all matter? Like, what's the point?
yes, and yeah, the enemy of the movie is not caring and not like putting towards effort into things and
Yeah.
just giving
Chaos.
yourself to, yeah,
Chaos as the antagonist.
yeah. It's insane. There was, I noticed the use of circles too.
Yeah. Well, you think of that mirror in the opening shot. Like, what shape was it?
The circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has that many circle mirrors?
Yeah. There's quite a bit.
And it's a laundromat where everything's circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I noticed that too at the end whenever they're about to go into the circle bagel, is that it's spinning like a
yeah.
crazy amount. And I think it's reflective of the day to day too. It just
Yeah.
we keep doing it again. Nothing does matter. It's easy to fall into that
Going
like
around in circles. Laundry, taxes.
laundry and taxes, and it's like to learn a lesson this way and to be fighting this thing, and the unique the fight scenes themselves were so amazing. Like John Wick has been the best of choreographed
Yeah.
action fight scenes that aren't quick cuts.
Yeah.
But we're actually seeing them flip a person, kick, jump,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like it's a kung fu movie. Also, I don't know, just so inventive, and to tap into other things, and that for all of it to make sense. I think this
Yeah.
movie like kind of tells you like, hey, trust me a lot, because and you give it your trust as you go on and on and on. Because sometimes you're like, where's this going? What are they doing? And all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that's actually awesome.
Yeah. They set up something that's like what is it? To jump to another universe. And they set it up with like, you take off your shoe, and
Do
you
something
put it in
crazy.
the other shoe, and then like I think that was it. That was the main thing. She just like crossed her shoe and like said a little something, and then pushed the button, and then it goes into people jumping,
Burst jump.
and putting stuff up their butt.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's like it slowly leans into like, this is normal.
yeah, but even that, the idea of, hey, do something, make a crazy decision in your life,
Yeah.
and you are going to change the trajectory of who you are.
Yeah.
And obviously then it takes it to ridiculous lengths.
Yeah.
Of like they just do other kind of crazy things to tap into these other universes where suddenly her pinky has a little bicep, and like she could fight with it because that's all she had left there when she's holding on.
Yeah.
And then boom, she taps into that universe, gets that strength.
Yeah.
And then we see those universes get like, she's like, oh man, if I was a hibachi chef, I would be great at fighting with these things right
Yeah.
here. And then we see
goes,
that
yeah.
Ratatouille.
Dude, Ratatouille, that was like, when that happened, I was like, this is the best movie
Yeah.
ever. Ratatouille, because she pitched that earlier in
Earlier,
the thing,
yeah.
and it
Call
came to,
back.
yeah, it was, I remember seeing that. That was the most dramatic, and I feel like that was one of their big leaps.
Yeah.
And I think that paid off so well.
So well.
Ratatouille!
And you were literally like, oh
I
no.
have nothing now without him.
And then she's like, get on. Yeah.
Yeah, when she's in her phase of fixing everything.
But even that,
fixing all her relationships
yeah,
across all the universes.
it's so crazy that they can kind of take all those leaps and it just be beautiful and work, and it even when they're like rocks and just like be a rock, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Well, I think because it's all like, it all serves the story, it all serves the purpose, and I think it does a very good job of what I think filmmaking can be, and is a good example of the medium is visually telling and enforcing the story and the theme, and what the what is the theme that these Daniels are trying to convey.
Yeah.
And then how do we best support that? Okay, they're jumping different universes. Okay, they used wardrobe, and they used color and hair and makeup and camera lenses and aspect ratios, all to like define what that universe is.
Yeah.
And all that definition also supports what that universe is.
Yeah. And it is like, it's amazing because like the story itself is amazing, but then the story behind the movie, because I think Ki Kwan, what is his name in the movie? The husband in the movie.
Yeah.
I think he's the heart of this movie. He is.
Oh yeah.
And his performance is so good. The way he would just drop, and then he was suddenly, Alpha Wayman.
Yeah.
And
Wayman. I love that how he Wayman in the universe that we're introduced in just accepts it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, was I the crazy Wayman? What did I just say? Like he's like on board, but he never experiences any of the craziness.
Yeah.
But he just like trusts his wife.
Yeah.
And just goes along
And
with
supports her. And each Wayman is someone who is just so in love with Evelyn and wants to make her, like, he just loves her so much.
Yeah.
And in each level, like, you see him at, like, even when she wants to become the movie star or whatever, she's the karate legend. And you see them interact too. You get to see him be versatile with a fanny pack and with chewing the chapsticks, another like wild choice to be able to do whatever. But his performance, like, he delivers every line so good. Even at the beginning when he's trying to get her those divorce papers, like, your heart is breaking for this guy already. And the story of Ki Kwan, who couldn't get acting roles after doing The Goonies and after doing Temple of Doom. His first movie was Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get movies, and then finally he saw Crazy Rich Asians. And this was one of my favorite stories because this kind of happened to me and made me want to move to LA, is that he saw Crazy Rich Asians and he was so mad because he was so beautiful, and he was like, I wish I was a part of that.
Like, he was like, he could see himself.
Yeah.
And there was like, oh, I wish I was involved.
He's like, that should have been me. And like, what a motivator. And then he calls his friend Chunk from The Goonies, who's his manager, who gets him this role. And the Daniels said that they saw a meme online that said, OMG, look, it's Andrew Yang all grown up. And it was Short Round, and then it was Andrew Yang, the political candidate or whatever, and then made them go like, oh, I wonder where that guy is now. And to pull him out of literally, and to pull him out of retirement, and he puts a performance like this, which like he did. I'm getting chills, like it. And he was on stage, and he was so happy to be there in front of his peers, and he earned it. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, it's a sticky, cool Hollywood story. Of course they sell it like that too, but it's also just such a deserving performance, and he was amazing there. And then the line, I would have just loved. He delivers it in Mandarin. Like, we don't even really understand what he's saying, but we see the subtitles say, in another universe, I would have loved to just do laundry taxes with you, and you're just like,
No, it's so good. I mean, I think that sums up what good directing is allowing like I've heard it described this way of like when you're making a movie as a director, you have spokes on different tires, and like you just gotta let each spoke has to like be healthy to spin along, right, and go down. And to do that, you need to just let the professionals in each be their best.
Yeah.
And so I think when, the actors shine, when the story just like flows and like you don't notice the wardrobe, you don't notice the color or the aspect ratio is changing.
Yeah.
Like that is good director. And that's like I'm sure working on that was a treat because you may not like, you have to know where you're going in order to get there. And I feel like the Daniels knew where they're going, but it's such a crazy. I've heard like interviews of the DP is like, I don't know where we're going, but I trust you.
Yeah.
And like certain
You kind of have
scenarios,
to do that.
it was like okay, because there's so many specific like whip ins, whip outs, and transitions. He's like, which one are we doing? And they're like, we're doing this. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
and then it all makes sense.
Storyboarding the movie must have been crazy too, because there's that scene where she's like, Evelyn, are you with us right now? And they actually have the screen split and cracked, and she's like in the closet, and then she's like sitting there, and you're like, what is starting to happen? And then it all just jumps back and forth. And like they managed tone really well too. Like it doesn't ever get too far off. Every scene we see is intentional towards especially that big ending. And dude, just a fantastic movie. What else do you have? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot. There's like a lot of theme. I think really cool. Like, there are a couple of cool tidbits about like the circle, and I like the everything bagel, and it's funny there, but everything in the universe is just there.
Yeah.
Circle. We talked about laundromat. We talked about the circle mirrors. There's probably tons of other stuff. But
she circles the tax document.
The tax
it's
document.
It's on her.
Yeah, so like that's like one of her expenses that didn't wasn't an
it's a
actual,
huge issue. Yeah.
That's the huge issue, and that symbolizes chaos, right?
Right.
That circle thing, the antagonist of the everything bagels chaos, but the way that Evelyn fought this chaos was accepting it and just connecting with her daughter. And she connected with her daughter through experience and like, hey, I'm gonna split my mind too, so I can relate and just be with you.
Yeah.
And the antidote, what stopped everything, was her giving her that, embracing her and giving her that hug.
Yeah.
And like letting like and just embracing one another. And like X's and O's, hugs and kisses.
Yeah. Wow.
I always wonder like, why is the hug an O? Like, shouldn't a hug be an X and the kiss be an O? But it is an O. And so the chaos, it's like the duality. It's like the chaos, and she uses the O, the hug, and that seals it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So just stuff like that of just like they could have connected any other way. And like, you can think like, oh yeah, it's natural to hug your daughter afterwards, but that was such a big pivotal thing, and that shut down the chaos, and the good beat the evil, and
Yeah. And it was just all about kind of choosing love too. Like what a great message.
Love.
Like even like as she's running up the stairs too, like in each situation of like fighting off people, it was like choosing a way to resolve it for them. And it's like as you choose love for people along the way.
Well, the thing is, before she could help her daughter, she had to fix all the wrong she did in all the other universes. She had to mend each relationship before she could mend the one with her daughter.
Yeah.
So she's mending, as she's going up the stairs, she's mending those relationships in all the other universes.
Ratatouille.
My heart goes out. What performance?
I know.
I gotta find out who that actor is.
Yeah, he was so good.
Like that.
Yeah, she like rips off his hat at one point because she ruins every universe at one point. She says, "Screw it."
Because she's ruining every universe because she's becoming like, what is it, Jui Papi?
Yeah, Joe Butupaki. Yeah. giving it over to him.
So she's destroying her life and every universe and choosing chaos.
Yeah.
But then she reverses that and rectifies that situation. I had another thing with the tax. I thought it was so interesting of like, it's funny because she writes off like a karaoke machine. She writes off like all her.
Yeah.
And then there's like something else. But what I found with talking with a CPA is you can only write off like let's just say karaoke machine once you've already established that you're a professional singer, and it's a tool now to use to keep up your craft. Like you can't expense something for something you want to become, like education for that,
Wow.
but you can write off continual education.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, in a different universe, she's a professional singer.
Yeah.
So all these expenses that she's doing is valid
Yeah.
because across the universe she has all these specific skills.
Yeah. And I think it's like all her other universes, I think people can relate to, because everyone has a, man, what if I would have played hockey so much harder when I was a
Yeah.
kid?
Oh yeah.
You know, what if I did take like acting lessons when I moved here? What if I did like learn how to become a chef? Or randomly you're like, I want to get good at magic.
Yeah.
And like we all have those
Really
things, and
dive
all
into
her expenses reflected those little crafts. So we're like,
Yeah.
wait, you wanted to try this? You were doing this? You
Yeah.
were doing this? Like, and I think it's reflective of like, of people wondering what it was like. But once you kind of accept all those things, and like, even if you did go that path, were you loving along the way? If you're loving along the way, you'll get like that wonderful life that you want, because you can do it anything you want.
Oh, and that's the husband. That's his outlook, and I love it. It's like I'm not goofy because I'm like have nothing going on up here. Like I choose to choose happiness.
Yeah.
I choose to. I love how their daughter's name is Joy. You know, and it's like
yeah.
I choose joy. I choose
Fight for joy.
yeah, fight for joy.
Yeah.
You know, so. And I could go on and on about technical aspects too. Or
Yeah.
Like they used
A lot of whip shots.
a lot of whip shops. They use like tons of different lenses, spherical lenses. They use anamorphic lenses. Like in the action scenes, they use anamorphic, and the framing
Yeah.
change sizes and stuff.
When you hear that it was shot in 38 days, is that like probably standard, or is that
That makes sense.
like, but if you found out you were doing a movie like this where it was going to be, there's probably a lot of choreography with
Shot in 38
DPs.
days, but like I think I would guess they spent more days in pre-production than they did in shooting. That I mean,
You have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like proper pre-production, not like the Daniels like,
This was all shot, like, I believe, in the months leading up to the world shutting down too, January 2020.
Apparently the last day they stayed up and they kind of saw the writing on the wall of things getting shut down, and they stayed up and did like extra like green screen shots.
Yeah.
That they were gonna do like, have a proper day, proper rest, and then continue. But
Yeah.
kind of stayed up and did it all.
It's crazy.
And obviously you still have your pickups and stuff that they sprinkled in. But.
Yeah, the camera work was really well done, and I don't know, it's just like such an effect. Like, it's a movie. Not many movies you watch that you'll watch again and again and again, but this is one that's a little bit. It's like that.
has
It's a Wonderful Life. Like, it's one that will. It's a good reminder. Like you go on that journey that she goes on of just like, the people around you and who you love. Like, that stuff matters, how you're treating people, breaking generational issues that you had when you were a girl, and you pass it on to your kid. And it's
how
like,
how do you solve those issues?
she became her father.
You deal with them first, then you can deal with what you're passing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to stand up to what's going on in your life.
Yeah. It's just like so many layers to it. And it's all just like, again, it's something where, man, they made a character that maybe seemed unrelatable. Like I said, immigrant from China.
I feel like if you passed the main character on the street, like, you wouldn't think twice.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a normal person.
Yeah. But it's just like something we all go through, and then and you
Well,
don't know who Rakakuni is. Even like Rakakuni is a interesting, like, as funny as it is, it's when you're in your workplace and you are being competitive with someone else, and that they have like
Like they're cheating.
Yeah, they're
like,
cheating, or
maybe cheating.
there's
or
something,
like,
maybe it's like, oh, I know how you got hired here. Or, oh, I know, like, man, you get you're a favorite or whatnot. But it's like, you still got to treat those people good. And like, you still got to lift them up and support them and whatnot. Even though you want to expose them, or if you want to whatever.
Because they're feeling the self-doubt of like, I'm nothing without this leverage that I have.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're like, I know their secret. I just love they brought the Rakakuni, and that is just
It's gold.
such a good bit.
Yeah, that bit alone is
Yeah. And I'll say anything that the Daniels do. This is like one of those. They did Swiss Army Man too, which is the. Have you ever seen that one?
I've seen a couple scenes,
Right.
but I've not.
But that's another weird one that people are like, man, farts really move me. Like from watching that
Yeah.
movie in the same way that, yeah, like dudes jumping on, putting stuff up their butts
Yeah.
to get some crazy powers as this other kind of epic thing, Jobu Tupaki. And then, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is just so great too. She was so funny. And so, yeah.
Everyone just leaned in.
At the end, she's like teaching her how to use her vape. She's like, "You press the button." She's like, it helps. It's amazing.
It's like life is just about, when you boil it down, because I think this like existential crisis that Joy was going through, and this whole like this is all meaningless. That's an age-old thing.
Yeah.
Like there's wisdom books in the Bible, in the Old Testament. Ecclesiastes talks about, like, it takes you on this journey of the wisest man in the world that's ever lived. He comes to the conclusion that nothing matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, nothing matters. Okay, his theory is like, it's good to be wise than it is to be foolish. Like, just you'll live a better life, but it's still meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I think what I got from that and what I get from this is it's all about your human connections and your friendships and just connecting with people, like just connections.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's so cool too. It's like it's such good effective storytelling in terms of like if a movie can be awesome. A movie can be The Dark Knight and be so just awesome and epic and
Yeah,
well
there's
shot
different
and
types of
entertaining and like but this one for it to be reflective and for it to be something where I really think like you were saying you notice the relationship with the daughter. I think it has levels to like every time you watch it, you might relate to a new aspect to
Yeah.
it. Be like, man, I'm really feeling the taxes part this time I'm watching it, or I'm really feeling the daughter part, this time.
And I think that's what filmmaking does, is like lens, like the medium of filmmaking is best for this type of stuff. And I think they did it very well. And that's why I like movies. And yeah, just the complexity, the layers of it, and telling a story, telling multiple stories, but also resolving it. And
I've talked a lot about for years. I will say I would say I'm ahead of it. That I've always loved like A24 and the like small like I think when I discovered independent movies like when I was living in Connecticut like 7 years ago. Like you realize that they tell these these unique stories that aren't like you're used to seeing that. We loved seeing Hunger Games and the big like blockbuster movies, but to see these small intimate movies that these independent companies are like, yeah, we'll let you tell the story, we'll fund this, like we won't give you much. But like we know you're great.
$7 million.
We'll give you $7 million.
I don't know how much this actually costs.
Right, but you compare that to like a Barbie or an Oppenheimer, where they get $100 million budget or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, they had so much less, but they were still even able to tell interesting stories like this. A24 has just been so good at that, like telling weird horror stories or weird, coming of age stories and telling them in these different ways. It's like. It's awesome.
Well, it's so hard because filmmaking it's so expensive.
It's a business too. You wanna sell tickets.
Not just that, but like the barrier to entry to create like a movie is, I would say this, because there's like $2 to $5 million movies that you can kind of tell are low budget.
Yeah.
But like this is a proper movie.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm just guessing 7 million. I don't know. So we could be off. It could be 14. It could be less.
Yeah.
But like the bare minimum, let's just say, is like $10 million.
Yeah.
To do a proper movie.
Yeah.
So it was like, if you have $10 million, you got to be you're either gonna make money or you're gonna lose it all.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a business too. So so when you go to these studios and if they went to Universal and were like, hey, can we get 30 million to shoot this idea where a woman who works at laundromat jumps from universe to universe to save her family? They're like, no, because who's going to go see that?
Yeah, and we only have so much money we can spend on movies this year.
Yeah.
We have to make a certain ROI, so we're going to take risk on these, but like...
And we know people love these Fast and Furious movies, so we're going to keep putting money in... there's a superhero we can attach to it too, and all that stuff, like... I don't know.
Because if you make one movie and it makes money, your second one's free.
Right.
So if you can make a franchise, you're basically taking a risk one time, collecting your money back, and then profit on all the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's great. Yeah, it's great on the business side. But it's I don't know if filmmakers need to do a better job of explaining their vision.
That's a big part of it
The
too,
thing
though,
is,
right?
I feel like they were kind of finding it. I don't think
Yeah.
they came up with a title until
Yeah.
like midway through filming or after they're done filming.
Yeah.
Because they're bouncing a few ideas off. So that's the hard part. Is like you have to. It's very risky, and it's risky with millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like it's not like okay, you take a
Millions.
risk with $1 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what the numbers are of like movies that have. I don't know that even that they've shot and stuff, and they're like, we're gonna scrap it. We're not gonna use it. We spent 15 days shooting, even though we needed 30, and we have to stop now. It's that was how many millions?
My buddy worked on a film out in he worked on this movie for 2 production companies. One was a studio, and one was a production company that you see in front of it shows in front of before the movie starts playing. And so they made it. They shot it all. There were some hiccups along the road, but they completed the principal photography. And then the studio did not like the direction that the director was going with the cut and all her demands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, all right, we're just gonna lose 11 million.
Yeah.
And it's like we released you from this contract. We cut our losses. We lost $11 million. It'll never be seen.
And that's just like, it's like an investment thing of like, do we keep going though?
Yeah, are we gonna keep bleeding this, and then maybe we can turn a profit once we release it, or like, hey, you can release it. You have this now, but we're done from here on out. We're done.
All right, last thoughts on it. Everything Everywhere. Do you have if you were at a 5-star rating,
5-star.
you can go into decimals.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm being honest, I'd give it 5 stars on Letterboxd at Dylan Barry on Letterboxd.
Wow.
But if I was to maybe get specific, maybe be like a 4.96 if I was doing that. But
what brings it down 0.04?
I just think it's honestly the politics of giving something 5 out of 5 stars. It's perfect. Then it's like, okay, it's perfect then it's like there's absolutely no notes. But the thing is that's kind of how I end up leaving it, is just feeling like, that's 5 stars.
But I think of like, I couldn't change anything. I'm
True.
Sure, I'm sure
that's
the Daniels or the
that's true.
The craftspeople that worked on this, I'm sure there's points like visual effects. Oh, I wish I had more time to do this, or like, or like, I'm sure there's something with the hair. It's like, oh, the hair was completely wrong, but like no one noticed it.
Yeah.
And in the bigger picture of stuff, but bigger picture, I'd put 4.99999999999.
Right. Yeah, no. So that's what I think. That's
just
what I'm
to
saying.
go along with
Just because nothing is perfect, I think is why I would leave off that.
Well, just because the infinite universes, I gotta go all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. This is perfect. So.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Well. So then. Let's go in 5 reasons. I asked you, I'd say 5 reasons. Usually what we do is we do top 5 lists, like based off of whatever we watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like we were talking like about love and movies, and I feel like those are easier things. And I don't know. I kind of wanted to think about it, and I wrote some down.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We'll trade one at a time.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm actually going to say that my number 5 is Blockbuster Video. Because Blockbuster Video is a reason I love. So the 5 reasons like you love movies, and for me, I mean, you can take that whatever way you want. Maybe it's like, I love whatever. But for me, it's like what gave me love for movies.
Okay.
And for me, the experience of Blockbuster, because my parents would take us. Sometimes we'd have to beg them, and in summers, like we grew up in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Where I always explain to people that it's like reverse winter for like most people, where you stay inside in the summer. August, we go to the movies all the time.
Because they would pump that AC, and when your parents were like, well, no, we don't need it super cold in here because the electricity bill, so we're gonna keep it, a very respectable temperature. But you just come from running around outside, and you want to cool off. You go to the movie theater, cool off.
And it was the same with like movies of just like, hey, we're having movie night. Like we would have people over and we'd all sit around and laugh and watch a movie. Yeah. I think that's why you picked the, Vampire Hunter. But like it was the tradition of going to Blockbuster. And I really do say it was my favorite job I've ever had to date because it was like, one, I felt like I worked in a time machine, like, and I did for a second, because who was renting movies even 10 years ago? That's 10 years ago,
You were
2014.
like, it was straight decline. There was no like,
Yeah.
it was like people were like already putting futures in
Yeah.
the company going down.
But when I was a kid, I was like, man, I want to work at Blockbuster. The day I turned 16, I'm going to work there. And it was always so hard to get jobs there. Isn't that so funny? Like, how it was like, oh, I want to work at Chipotle so bad. And like I wanted to work at Blockbuster. And I did end up getting to do it. And it was when I was 19 and, I was figuring out stuff. I was kind of going to school. And like I got to fulfill that kind of childhood dream of working there. And it, like, because of it, they let employees get 10 movies a week. 10 movies a week to rent. And because of that, I watched Titanic for the first time. I watched like so many old movies for the first time that like my coworkers were like, and I remember I don't think I'm really good at job interviews, but that was one that I remember we had to stand in a circle, and in the job interview it was like, hey, to the person next to you, sell them a movie that they're lost, they're stuck in the aisle, they don't know what to rent. Like, tell them about a movie you saw recently and why they should buy it. And
That's a good like for a group interview.
It was so intimidating. It was 20 people. I was the youngest person in there, and it was like, turn to the person to your left, and you had to do it in front of everybody. And I remember I pitched Inception, and I said, it's a great cast. It's a unique journey to like go on. It's visually awesome. The music. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, the best movie star of our lives, and like, I remember like they had told me, they're like, yeah, dude, you really stood out. And I was like, yeah, because I was talking about something that I love. It was
you
like,
fit that role that they needed very well at that time.
and it's still that way. Like, that's what I'm doing here right now, is I'm like, if it's hey, what's the thing that you love doing? And for me, it's talking about movies. And Blockbuster was this physical place where it wasn't a movie theater where you're kind of, that's an event.
Yeah.
Blockbuster was this railroad crossing of, you stop and you figure out where you're going next and what movie, and you're looking at cases.
Yeah.
And then the movie you did want's not there, so you got to make an alternate choice. And dude, Blockbuster Video, I'm so grateful. And I know we were actually on the late end of it, but we got to be a part of.
Yeah. No, and I remember going, because for me, I was always like conscientious of budgets. Like, okay, we can go see a movie. That's $8.
$8.
Okay, so but it's got to be worth it. And then like rent a movie, it's like, okay, you can only rent like 3 movies a week or whatever. But when you had that, it felt like
Switch
unlimited.
out pass. It was an unlimited pass. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, sweet. You could like be like, the kind of chains were like lifted, and you could do whatever.
And then once I got a car and I was able to, I could take, so what it was like for a month, I think it was like $15, and you would get one movie and you could go and you could swap it in. And I remember I would come Friday night and we'd go and we'd get like, he'd be like, oh, you should get this movie, The Prestige, which I remember also I watched because of Blockbuster. Yeah. And I'd come back the next night and the guy's like, hey, what'd you think? And I'm like, dude, it was awesome. What else you got? And then he would give me something new to watch and like something I'd never seen. And then I got to be that guy. And it's like, dude, that is awesome. Because now, and I noticed that YouTube kind of told me this, that the thing that people are clicking on right now is Netflix recommendations, because it's death by scrolling now. Our Blockbuster now is, you go through Netflix and you go, oh, should we watch that one? That one.
Have a guide.
That one.
You need a
that
guide.
one. But apparently that's doing well on YouTube right now, is that people can go, oh, what should I watch in February of 2024? And there's a YouTube video of, maybe it's Dylan, and he's explaining, hey, these are the big movies that are new to YouTube or Netflix. Here's whatever. Oh, like, that's now your Blockbuster thing.
Yeah.
So
your guide. Yeah.
Blockbuster number 5.
Number 5. Oh man, mine are probably gonna be out of order.
That's fine. Yeah. I don't think I'm doing top here. They're just reasons.
Just reasons. Well, reasons I like movies. I love the act of, like, the impossible task of filming a story.
Yeah.
And actually making it, because like,
it's a great way to
describe
describe
so much crap, and like it's so easy to look at something and be like, that's not appealing to look at. So then you gotta make it appealing to look at. But then you can only make it appealing to look at it if there's like a worthwhile story to tell. And so it's the craft of like making it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy.
It's cool because it's what really is it's, you have to capture everything perfectly.
Yeah.
He has to move that way, but his mic has to pick it up. and that light has to be right, and
Yeah.
and that sound, that sound has
the
to be
focus
picked up.
I just worked on something recently that was like we got these four talent in, and we only had like 30 minutes with them, and we had to do like 2 shots, and one was very integral with lighting cues, steady cam, like free flowing, people look, it's high frame rate, we're like at a 2.8, and we're like going to these people, and it's not the same every time. And so we got one that all came together, and like I was pulling focus on it, nailed it, everyone else nailed it, and it's just like, wow, that's tough.
Yeah.
And like the people that were directing it put it all together, like all this previous work we did to even like get these people in the room and like all that stuff, like it all just comes to like this one thing that people will look at like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems so crazy to me of like, it's so much money, all this stuff. I understand why, but like to have someone be like, now look at their phone and be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, like, because fame and celebrity is funny because, like, if 20 years from now, I see Jamie Lee Curtis on the street and I'm like, Jamie Lee, like, dude, you and everything everywhere was so amazing, so amazing. It was only probably only 3 weeks of her life.
Yeah.
That movie was only about 3 weeks of her
Yeah.
life, but it lives on forever because
forever.
it was captured so perfectly. And like, we're still talking about Shawshank Redemption because it was awesome 30 years ago.
Even like documentaries you can talk
Yeah.
about, because it's a story and it was captured so well that story, and now like one person or a family lives with something, and now you can share that with other people
Yeah.
in a way that just
Nice.
capturing people's attention.
Capturing a moment. I like it. So another one number 4 for me, Letterboxd, and Letterboxd meaning the connection between people in movies.
That social aspect.
The social, the being able to be like, to quote a movie with someone, whether it's Hot Rod, right? Like when we quoted a bunch growing up, or the other guys, like the way. And so Letterboxd is such an ingenious app to me because it is that, like, what's your friends watching and what do they think of that movie? And like I'm so proud that I've gotten a few friends who use it and use it well and use it regularly, to where they're, when they watch a movie, the first thing they do is they pull out their app and they write what they thought of it in that moment.
Yeah.
And I can go back and be like, because sometimes, we've seen so many movies and it's like, oh, did I like that? Well, now I can go back and be like, you know what? A couple years ago, I thought that movie was confusing and I wrote that down.
Yeah.
Or I thought, oh man, I got to watch this again. And now I'm finally getting to do that. And it's social media, but just about movies. And because social media is one thing on its own that can be hard to figure out. Instagram now mostly feels like we're following accounts of things. You're not really seeing your friends as much.
No.
But Letterboxd, like, it's, whoa, my friend just watched Back to the Future for the first time. That's so cool. And she loved it.
But it's like, I equate it to what you're describing is the moment you would leave the movie theater with your group of friends, and you'd stay in the parking lot with like maybe one or two, or like someone would go home like, hey, I gotta go, and then you can talk to them later, but it's like sticking around and just like conversing. But I feel like that's a good way of like documenting that, of like, okay, now the conversation that you guys had is, you can refer back to it and not just like a fleeting memory of like an actual.
And it's like so versatile, even in that, like, if I'm like, oh, should I watch this movie? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Michael saw this. Let me ask him if he thinks I'd like it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big part of movie recommendation too, is there are a lot of movies I love that I wouldn't recommend to people.
Yeah.
No.
And we all know that one person or the couple people that they love a movie and they'll recommend it, even though they have a very specific taste. Yeah. And they're like, why didn't you like it? You're like, dude, that was what?
Yeah, dude, the way back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, classic. Nice.
But we all identified it. Yeah. I would have to say,
your turn.
One of my 5 is gonna be definitely midnight premieres.
Yes, dude.
So back in the day,
R.I.P. Well, not R.I.P.
No, it's rest in peace. You would get together. Was this Friday night or were we doing Thursday night?
Thursday night would be the ones.
Yes. Thursday night, you would go to the midnight premiere, and it was great because you'd go with your friends or family or whatever, and you would go see the movie at midnight, And the next day at school, you're all tired and you're
But you were the only
cool,
one who'd seen the movie.
and you'd get to talk with everyone at school about the movie you saw.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was that big buzz. And there's so much excitement in the packed theater. The line getting in
Yeah.
is packed. I've definitely
I think
snuck in.
Harry Potter was like, I will hold that
Yeah,
for.
Harry-
I can.
oh my gosh,
I
what a
remember
experience.
sitting in that theater, and Victoria Starr held my seat because I think I was working late, but she held my spot in line and then had a seat for me.
Oh,
And
that
I
was
remember
like
being.
a big thing of saving seats.
And
like,
you were so tired by the end of the movie because it's like now 2 a.m. as the
Yeah.
movie's ending, and you're like, and I remember the Snape sacrifice scene coming on, and I remember just being like, I hadn't read the book, so I was
no.
just floored by it. But yes, dude, those were experiences.
Yeah.
Even if the movie wasn't good, it was still a memory.
Yeah, yeah. There was definitely an experience. So I would say, yeah,
Midnight
that's
premieres.
in 5. Yeah.
That's a great one. Okay, so my number 3. Okay, this one is a little kind of sad, but it's how movies have become like a friend in a way for me personally. When I was in Connecticut, I was 20 years old and I got hired full time at a church in Connecticut into a town where if you're 20 years old, you're off at some nice, great college. There's
Yeah,
no other
oh.
20-year-olds around.
Yeah, that's very
And I was working at a place where, I had a few people who were close to my age, but ultimately I wasn't around young people. And during that time, I really clung to my love of movies. Like, that's when it really came out. That's when I really started watching indie movies. That's when I started getting deep into online forums where people would talk about movies that I would have never heard of otherwise. And I watched actually a movie this week, Manchester by the Sea. Really sad movie, 2016. Casey Affleck, he won Best Actor for it. And it's I decided this week it's my top 3 favorite movie because I saw it in January or December of 2016, and I walked from my apartment. You've made this walk before, from my place to the train station.
Yeah.
Long walk,
Yeah,
right?
It's like,
It's
oh, it's
downhill.
not that far. Oh my gosh, it's brutal.
Well-
I got blisters on my feet from that walk.
Dude, I had made the walk before, and so
You made it sound like it was no big deal. Hope literally got blisters on her feet. She had to walk barefoot.
your pregnant
barefoot.
wife had blisters on her feet. She's pregnant now. She
Yeah,
wasn't
was
pregnant. But no, yeah. So, but I went to this teeny indie theater, the Bow Tie. It's closed. I saw it recently when I went back. But I went and saw this movie, and this movie, Manchester by the Sea, it's about a guy who is kind of struggling with himself and struggling to be alone, and he has his own demons and a tough past that he's wrestling with. But it's about New England. It's Massachusetts. It's in the bitter cold, and it's a movie kind of about loneliness and whatnot. And I felt so hugged by this movie,
Yeah.
and it felt like it captured what kind of I was going through, and like a bitter coldness, because it also has that theme to it too. The movie slowly thaws, and you get to, the character warms up just slightly, but it just hit me at this perfect time. And I just watched it this week, and as a movie, a craft, it is just so gorgeous, and the acting and the writing is so amazing, but it also landed with me so well and was a comfort to me at a time. And I remember, like, I left the theater alone. Again, we just talked about leaving theater with friends. I left it alone, and I got to sit with that movie and think about it. And I discovered podcasts where guys would talk about movies. And that's when I discovered, like, oh, wow, you can get paid for talking about, you can have a job of talking about movies. And I thought, that is amazing. And it led me to that, and it led me to go, man, I should. So.
Jay seen After Money?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, check 1, 2. Here we are. Jacob, I just wanted to tell you that the file was recovered, but we lost about 20 minutes at the end of the episode.
Did we really?
We really lost. Literally, I got to my second to last point, and I was just about to explain that walk to the train station. That was about that part.
And your grandma and all that?
Yeah, the grandma part is not in there. My number one
Why did you get
reason.
lost?
Dude, the MKV, and I mean, maybe I can drag it and try to do it, but I think my hard drive needs to be retired potentially because I don't think it's working as hard, but we're testing that right now too. but I had to let you know, and I think we'll end the episode with this conversation of me telling you and just no, honestly, no, because here's the truth, Jacob, is if people got this far, that's really, really awesome. And they should leave a comment down below, like laughing, like really hard, so that when people open this video, they're like, why is everyone laughing in the comments? Well, it's because they got this far and they heard that this is how we're resolving things. Because honestly, this is a decent way to resolve things.
But the funny thing is that in the beginning of the episode, you talked about how this is our take 2.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you shouldn't really say that. It's like it's take 1 for the people listening, but I don't know. There may be a take 3.
Honestly, we might do a take 3, but there's enough here, and I think honestly, dude, I think you like us, our back and forth this time was better than the first time, and it felt a little more natural. And there were a couple times where we were talking, and then I was like, oh wow, this is kind of interesting that we're doing this, but then it's like you keep going, and it felt a little more natural this time too. So I think, and there was a lot of good stuff there. Like, I mean, we still get your Desert Island 5. Do you remember your answers?
Yes, I can list them off for you. Starting number 1.
No, we already got it though. No, we already got it. That's what I'm saying though. Like there was enough to salvage here that we missed my number 1 answer and your number 1 answer, it being that it's movies are very artistic. So,
Well, comment down below.
Yeah, just
take
laugh.
3. Just take 3.
Take 3.
Laughing emoji.
Yeah. If we get more than 10 take 3 comments, we will do a take 3. Maybe in the next month. I don't even know. And listen, and this could be take, this technically is take 3, I guess. We're just putting it on the end of take 2.
This is take 2.5.
Okay. Well, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. Jacob, thanks so much for coming on. And then Surprise coming on again. Now what, 4 days later? Saturday to Wednesday? Yeah.
And they're going to miss all your heartfelt reasons why
yeah.
like you do what you do,
I know why I am the way that I
It
am.
really allows people to connect with like, oh, okay, that's why nice.
Yeah.
I had a, I felt like
Dude,
I had similar moments to I've experienced.
Yeah.
It's like, I had something similar to that. It was more like this is how I interpreted it. This is why I like it.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on. For real, I thought it was a good episode. I'm glad we were able to salvage it.
Salvage title.
Yeah, dude.
Title.
Salvage.
Salvage title. It's a play on words.
Is there a movie with the name Salvage in the title? Because otherwise, that's a pretty good name for. I feel like I could look that up, but I don't want to freak my computer out here too either. You know what I mean? But I should be able to look that up. Anyways, leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe. We appreciate you listening. Jacob, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, comment down below the best hard drives to buy.